Hi, everyone. It's Grace Kelmer back with the Mendel Center Connections video series, and we have a slightly different type of interview today. I'm here with Arthur Havlicek, who is with the Southwest Michigan Regional Chamber, and so we're going to be talking about how COVID-19 has affected local businesses, but also, as we do with all of these episodes, talk about what we're looking forward to in the future and keeping that hopeful, positive eye on what's coming down the road. So thanks for joining us today. And Arthur, hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you are actually new in this position at the Chamber. Can you talk a little bit about your journey into that position and what you do for the Chamber?
Yes, so I'm a Southwest Michigan native, raised in Bridgman. Went to Grand Valley State University for school, spent 5 years working in the Michigan legislature, and then decided to come back and serve my community in this role. I took over as president of the chamber in January and was getting accustomed to the chamber life and advocating for businesses. And then within 2 months, kind of the entire world changed. So it's been interesting adapting to that. And in some respects, I've been lucky because I was never in the box, so it hasn't been too hard to think outside of it.
Yeah, what a time to be taking over that role, and you're just starting to form those connections with the local business owners, and then to be thrown this curveball right off the bat. But I guess I had the opportunity to meet you pretty much right off the bat as part of the YP Executive Council group, and so it's been fun to get to know you over the past couple months. And it seems like you're doing a lot of innovative things in the role, anyways. And so this does seem like just kind of an extension of that, which is great. Speaking of right now, these are unusual circumstances we're in. What types of programs are happening right now that small businesses or any local businesses can take advantage of through the chamber?
So this is a pretty long list, and feel free to interject at any time. Otherwise, I'll just keep rolling. So the chamber, one of the things we're known for the most are our networking events that we host. We do several a month, about 100 a year, and they're all in person. They average anywhere from 20 folks getting together to sometimes over 100, even a couple hundred. With this, obviously, all events, in-person events, have had to be canceled, but we've been able to, and fortunate thanks to technology, to shift many of those online with great success. Sarah is the one setting up all of our, Sarah Spoonholtz is the one setting up all of our virtual events, I'm calling them, and they've been going well. So we do, every Tuesday, we do 8 a.m. coffee chats. We've done them since the very beginning, where we just discuss, with the folks that jump on the call, how the viruses and the pandemic has affected their business. It's a great opportunity for folks to jump on and ask us questions, because I am, and I'm a nerd, so it's not too bad, but I'm going through the troublesome task of reading all these executive orders, staying up to date with the guidelines, so that I can answer those types of questions. We also do a much more relaxed version of that on Thursday evenings called Wind Down Mixers, where you are encouraged to have a beverage of your choice. The conversations by no means have to be coronavirus related, and that is really just a way to give our members a much needed social outlet in a time of isolation. We've also held very successful industry cluster meetings, or that's what I've called them. We did one specifically with landscapers, because everyone seemed to agree that they should have been allowed to work this whole time. And so I got a lot of the local leaders in that industry together to talk about best practices. And they actually, while they're sort of natural competitors, helped each other through some of the issues they were facing. And it was amazing to hear all of the efforts they've undertaken already to protect people, and that was prior to them being allowed to work. So it was very encouraging. And then we've also partnered with other members and partners like Midwest Family to do webinars where we teach businesses how to market their business during and after this pandemic, because there's going to be a whole new approach to how we are communicating with consumers.
There are these multiple tiers of communication happening right now where everyone had all of their ads and all of their commercials already in the can, and then all of a sudden they had to basically start over with some internal
Right.
messaging, and now we're hitting that again as we start to look towards opening up at some point in the
Reopening.
future.
Yeah.
It's just this moving target, and it's difficult to figure out what the right tone is and what the right message is as you
Yeah.
make those decisions. Yeah, that's a good resource to have.
Yeah, it's been, we got positive feedback about that. And one consistent theme I've been stressing is, you have to gear what you're saying towards the consumer always, but never has that been more important than right now, because there are just so many consumers, and the surveys that measure consumer confidence back this up. There's so many consumers that are fearful to go out there and shop, either because they lost their job or they're afraid of getting sick. And so safety really is paramount in the messaging. And I've been encouraging businesses to not just, don't just stop at changing how you're keeping your operation safe. Incorporate those measures in your advertising so that you're telling your customers exactly what you're doing. Folks try to not clean during peak hours of business, and it's why that's going to make someone in there shopping comfortable if they see someone actively wiping stuff down.
Mhm.
Those types of things are important, and we have to change how we're thinking.
Yeah, what used to be the best practices might not apply in times like
No.
this. Yeah, looking at next practices, what is the thing that works right now, and then what
Mm.
from that do we incorporate into the future if it still
Right,
makes sense? Yeah, that's
right.
interesting. You
Yeah.
mentioned some of those the consumer sentiments right now, and it sounds like you're doing some surveys of businesses. Are there surveys specifically around just local citizens and what their willingness to return to various types of businesses is? Like we're doing that kind of work in the arts right now with a consortium of Southwest Michigan arts organizations, but I'm curious about uh, just the larger region and what their feelings are.
So it's been kind of interesting to watch. We did a survey of chamber members early on. I think it was probably went out in April. And some of the results we got back from that were pretty scary. At that time, they said one of the questions was, how long do you think you can last in a shutdown? Because we're trying to get a handle on, how many businesses we might lose. And a huge amount, I mean, we're talking 70% of them said, yeah, we've got maybe 3 months of holding our breath before it's over. We didn't get a lot of employees being afraid to return to work, and actually a lot of local employers bent over backwards to keep folks employed, which has been an encouraging thing.
Mhm.
I know one thing I heard more than, my employee is afraid to come back to work. I heard, and this is a good one, I'm competing with the unemployment agency for talent. So with the additional, money that you get while you're unemployed right now, thanks to a mix of state and federal actions, anybody that was making less than $24 an hour, it makes more sense for them to remain unemployed in a lot of ways. And so, communicating to those folks that you might be sacrificing your career for short-term gain has been so important. But employers have been struggling to get some employees back, and employees don't even realize they're going to lose their benefits if they're offered their job and don't return. So there are all these unique challenges, and a lot of them stem from the unintended consequences of our trying to help.
Interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's a very generous system that's set up right now, but it could have those ripples, especially if that funding gets prolonged. It's hard to say
Yes.
will happen there. I know
Right.
at the college we have a really collaborative approach right now where we're all taking a small amount of furlough coming up, but then some people are deciding to take longer ones, but everyone's still guaranteed their job back at this point. Luckily, we're all quite committed to our jobs, so I don't know how many
That's
people
great.
decide not to return, but those who are comfortable coming back are, and then those who aren't are, have the option to make other arrangements. So that's great. And
And that's a great way to do it. I think that we need to shift and shift quickly towards really being flexible towards the population that's more at risk of catching this virus and actually dying from this virus, and letting younger folks or folks that aren't as fearful, folks that are extremely healthy, go out there and work. Maybe those are the ones on site, and then the ones who are more at risk are the ones who remain working remotely. What businesses really need right now is the flexibility to make those types of decisions, because I've had countless thousands of conversations with business owners in this area over the last couple months, and every single one of them wants to protect their employees, and every single one of them wants to protect their consumers, and those two things are linked strongly to each other. uh, I have complete faith in them.
mhm. So as we come into the summer months, as we record this, we're just on the other end of Memorial Day weekend. And I know there's a lot of sad news as we're all making the safety conscious decisions to, scale back the summer events and everything like that. We are in a very touristy area. So um, what's your read on what we have, what was planned for the summer that now is not happening, or do you have any thoughts about things that are being postponed and along that line?
Yeah, so it's we've seen a lot of great events canceled in our community. Between the senior PGA, which you look forward to. I mean, it's every other year, and when it is this year, I mean, you just look forward to it. All the great events that go on in all of our small communities, all the fairs, the festivals, watching those get canceled one by one has been difficult, because they're part of what, St. Joe fireworks on the pier for 4th of July. I mean, a 4th of July without fireworks, those are our traditions. So it's sad to see them have to go. But the key word is have to, because safety comes first, and they draw such large crowds. We're really left with no choice. But beyond that, what it does is it tells folks, okay, those bring in so many people to our community, and those people spend dollars in the restaurants and shops around wherever those events were. And so with tourism taking a 70% hit, I'm going to throw out some numbers here, but the
Please
the
do.
the impact on tourism, some are estimating it's upwards of 70%, which is an incredible number. And so you keep that in mind when you think that most of our seasonal businesses locally make almost 70% of their income between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And we're in that window. But right now they are scraping by with maybe 10% of where they would have been this time last year. That's not a sustainable path. The only, and federal assistance, the money that has come down that businesses have been able to receive, if they received it, is great, but it's temporary. So the only real and true path to solvency for these businesses are for consumers to come back through the door. I mean, that's the real way. And so, I'm actually pretty confident in the summer, because we've already done a number of things geared towards keeping businesses, employees, and consumers safe. The chamber, along with the Connexus Group, the Cornerstone Alliance, the Berrien County Health Department, and the County of Berrien, and a bunch of the other my fellow chamber members or chamber counterparts, came together to launch a website called berrienreopens.org, which is a collection of best practices and guidelines and resources for businesses who are looking to take that step towards opening their doors. And so that's geared on at a community and county-wide level at keeping people safe. And I think the consumers will see that. Our chamber launched Buy Local Berrien early on at the beginning of this. That's kind of, how do you combat social distancing, use social media? So we launched that, and it's, I think, about 9,000 members strong in that group, and folks are buying every day.
Right.
Yes, Facebook group. Yep. So I mean, it's exploded, and more than just members in that group, those people have bought into what that group means, which is for our community to support our local businesses and to buy local. And so, I've been pleased to see that actually help, kind of stem the tide for our local businesses during this difficult time. A silver lining is that many of our businesses, our restaurants and our retailers that didn't provide curbside or takeout or delivery prior to this do now, right? And a lot of what they were cooking or selling, I'd put, I'd stack against any other community, any other amenity in the country. And now they have the 21st century modes of providing that to the consumer that I fully expect them to continue, after this is all said and done. So, there are a lot of great efforts at work and innovations that I think we'll still have a strong summer.
Yeah, I think a side effect of that Buy Local Berrien Group is that people are also just exchanging recommendations for types of restaurants that whoever happens to be open right now, not only are they getting all of that takeout business, but also they're being introduced to whole new segments of people who might not have known they existed, but because they're finding ways to be open in a safe way for curbside or delivery, they're going to have more, they're going to have those people as regulars in person a few months down the road.
So. I started it quickly because I knew that folks would be confused when the first stay home order came down, and they would, a lot of them would think, okay, it specifically says restaurants are, they can only do these couple things. A lot of them might think, no, they're closed. And I did not want anyone to think that. So that was, it was a very, very quick response, and it paid dividends. And I was active on there, commenting and posting, photos of my meals to try to get folks to do that. And I've completely stepped back. It's self-sustaining. Folks are still posting. I mean, hundreds of posts a week. It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. That's great. What else can people do right now to support their local businesses besides the restaurants?
Yeah, I mean, so now currently, today is the 29th, select retailers can be open by appointment only. So you are allowed to go back into a shop. And I cannot stress enough that folks need to buy local. They need to be understanding. So if that business has a set of rules that they have put in place to keep their employees and their customers safe, if you're a customer, have that COVID courtesy to do those, to wear your mask, touch things as little as possible, maybe whatever those rules may be, and then be understanding that it is just about keeping people safe. And just checking in on business owners has been one thing I've been saying. In this community, it's so easy to run into someone who owns a business, because there are just so many small mom and pop type shops here, and just checking in on them is crucial. We talked briefly about mental health, and a lot of these folks have their entire livelihoods and their retirements wrapped up in their business. And when they're watching and their doors are closed and they're getting maybe 10% of what they would and should, it's a stressful time. And so any encouragement or check-in, and it's just crucial.
Yeah, I think most people probably know a small business owner in their social circle somewhere.
Yeah,
So
I think so.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, this has been so much information. This is great. Thank you. You have a really unique perspective into what's going on right now. But also there's so much to look forward to once we're on the other side of this, hopefully, that still a great place to live. That's the bottom line, I think.
The best place to live. And the adaptations that we're undertaking and the innovations we're implementing it'll just make us better. We'll be stronger at the end of the day for this. And I'm excited for that. So many folks that didn't have a website before have a website now. They can sell their products online. They can do curbside takeout, delivery. I mean, businesses have completely shifted what they're selling. We've seen a lot of donations. I mean, there's a lot of good happening that needs to be talked about too. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited personally to just be able to visit these businesses and sit across the table from them and learn about them and what I can do to help them, because that's just how I'd rather spend all day visiting folks and having conversations kind of eye to eye, roll up my sleeves. That's how I am. So I can't wait to get back to that.
Yeah, that's great. So to recap, we have the Buy Local Berrien Facebook group. And then can you share that was it Reopen Berrien? What was that website?
BerrienReopens.org
Okay.
is the website, and that's a collaborative effort with a lot of great information on there.
Okay, great. And then members or other small business owners who might want to become members can go to the chamber website
Mhm.
for information.
Yeah, yes. It's I don't want to sound self-serving. We've put out a lot of information for members and non-members alike. In fact, most of what we've done has been for the community at large. But right now it's such an interesting time. It's a great time to become a chamber member, because there is a lot that we can do for members specifically that we're just not able to provide to the community as a whole. And it is some of the lowest cost, lowest risk marketing that money can buy. So that's my pitch.
Awesome. Well, Arthur, thanks again for connecting with me today. It's good to see you, and yeah, look forward to being back in person sometime down the road.
I can't wait. I'm glad we got to have our big event in the Mendel Center early this year, and we got to hold it. And I can't wait to get back there. So hang in there.
Sounds good. Yeah, you too. Thank you.